Yeah, generally, in when you start off a video, that you can acknowledge that the camera is there, and then you turn to the people that you're talking to, right? So, hey, Andy, how's it going, man? Nice to see you. You know.
All right. Well, welcome to this first installment of Sohum Smoke Signal, a production project to introduce and propagate skills for media production and content creation here in Southern Humboldt. My name's Javier, and just want to let you guys know, we're here at the Interbloom Space in Southern Humboldt, Garberville, California, and Interbloom as a new business in Sohum to share and propagate the health and healing modalities is also interested in productions as well, to broadcast, share classes, workshops, and whatnot. But in also being a larger venue with concerts, small concerts, live band concerts as well, we're also interested in live production and broadcasting live concerts. So we're really looking forward to that. On the other end, we also have the nonprofit sector, in which so many nonprofits here in Sohum, and giving them the access and the means to create their own content, and then also give them a wider reach and a broader broadcast to reach people. So it's a little bit of why I'm here, and then also what I'm interested in looking to do. I have a background in video production. I have my own YouTube channels. I film classes and workshops, and just started live streaming classes and workshops here in the Interbloom Space. Let's pass it to Jim Box.
All right. Well said. My name is Ranjit Jim Box, and I've lived here for 50 years. Came up to go to Humboldt State College in 1971. Boy, things have changed, and so have I. So I have an awful lot of, I went to my first photography class at CR in 1971, and Ansel Adams came to the class, and I had bought his books previous and studied the lens and the camera and the enlarger type of thing. And I looked on his prints, Aspen. He had 2 prints he had actually printed himself, and I went, whoa, that changed my life like immediately. And so I pursued super high resolution film photography, worked for many years with a Crown graphic reflex at 4x5. I had a rough time with looking upside down and backwards in view cameras, so I kind of skirted that. And anyway, I've been a photographer of events, professional photographer since 1985. I've done a whole lot of media production with music. I'm a member of the board of the Silicon Valley Symphony, and done music productions with Michael Paul Gibson, the conductor. And I've been blessed to. I worked as the front cameraman at Reggae on the River during the '90s, and so I've met a lot of really world-class musicians. Come to spend time with them, video them, photograph them, and I'm here to support Access Humboldt in Southern Humboldt, and we're just beginning to build a relationship. We have the space of Interbloom Wellness has really offered a beautiful space to produce media productions, as well as to present them with some monster screen up here that would be rather motivating for a new media producer to see their work. Wow, yeah, and I'm really excited to be meeting you two, Matt, and building a relationship with Christina and Access Humboldt, and here we are. All right, cool. Next. Cool.
I'm Andy Caffrey. I grew up in Los Angeles, and since I was in the Boy Scouts, I started making little 8mm movies. how to clean your pots and pans, how to do lashing. And my family used to travel to the California missions and San Francisco and San Diego. And so I started shooting snapshots with that until junior high school. My English teacher asked if anybody was a photographer. And I said, well, I am. And she said, okay, you're going to be the chief photographer for the school newspaper next year. Mr. Whiteman, the graphic arts teacher, is going to take you into the graphic arts studio and into the dark room and teach you how to do black and white, negative, and print processing. And so in junior high school and in high school, I was basically a journalistic photographer. But in my Boy Scout camping, I really got into shooting nature photography. And I loved rock and roll. And back then, there weren't all these YouTube videos of all these bands where, I just saw AC/DC did some shows last week. And there's like 20 different people who have videos up at YouTube of AC/DC performances. So back then, the only way you could really see anything like that was to get the rock and roll magazines, and you'd see some still photographs. So I began to shoot rock concerts, and I bought tickets from, they weren't scalpers, what do they call them? Regardless. So I was basically like in the first 10 rows. And so I started to explore push processing so I could shoot in low light. And I went to UCSD and got a minor in communications, where one of my teachers was a teacher at the Ansel Adams School. So I learned, yes. Yeah. So I learned, his name was Phil Steinmetz. So I learned how to do this, fine art shooting and processing in black and white. So in the 80s, I got involved with Earth First, and I came up here and saw people 120 feet up in trees sitting on a closet door, and I thought, this is powerful. And an aunt died, and I got a few $1,000s, so I bought the best camcorder I could get at that time, a Canon for a couple of grand, and I came up here and began to shoot Earth First campaigns. And I also did a little bit of radio work for KPFA, so I was very much into recording audio of musical performances, and I started the Green Party in the Bay Area, and we always had these wonderful guest speakers on things like permaculture and the Mondragon Co-op. So at first, I captured the whole content just on audio. But then when I got into video, I just was into shooting actions, lectures and road shows, musical performances, and I started collecting news coverage. So I became an archivist for Earth First, and that's the main thing I've been doing with video since coming up here. But in recent years, I've been on the board of directors of a couple of our local nonprofits, Healy Senior Center, now the Redwood Playhouse. I've done a lot of work with the Mateel and with KMUD. And so I've expanded my interest into trying to preserve the arts culture of Southern Humboldt. And at the Redwood Playhouse, there is a history of people shooting video of plays and dances and musical performances. So they were put on DVD, and I'm now in the process of extracting those wonderful archival videos and putting them through AI to sharpen them up, and putting them through modern sound processing to sweeten the sound and make everything audible. And the next phase for me is to get a lot of the stuff on Access Humboldt.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Matt Knight. I am the training and facilities manager for Access Humboldt. I also manage their radio station, KZZH 96.7. Been down there for since 2011, and before that I worked for the public television station in town, and before that I had a whole nother incarnation. I also have Southern Humboldt connections in that I am a programmer for KMUD. I have a show which is today at 2 p.m. called A Little Night Music in the Afternoon, and I'm also a board member of KMUD. So I've got some Southern Humboldt connections down here, even though I live up in Northern Humboldt. But yeah, I work for Access Humboldt. Access Humboldt is a nonprofit media organization. We have 4 television channels on the Optimum cable system, and our radio station 96.7 in Eureka. Access Humboldt's main mission in life is to broadcast public meetings. So the reason we exist and is to bring your democracy to you. If you can't make it down to the Board of Supervisors meeting, if you can't make it down to the Eureka City Council or Arcata City Council, you can watch those meetings on Civic 10, which is our Civic channel. We also archive those meetings, make them available so you can time shift and watch them whenever you want. Or if you're a journalist and you're trying to write a story about something, you can go and find information by looking at the agendas and finding the timestamps and watching getting your information that way. A lot of people ask us, how are you funded? Is it tax dollars, or how do you exist? And the answer to that is mostly no. Our source of funding has long been the deal that was made between the County of Humboldt and Cox Communications, which became Sunlink, which became Optimum, which is Altice now, I think. But back in 2006, in exchange for the right-of-ways to string their cable system, they made a deal with the county to fund Access Humboldt. So we get money from cable revenues. If you have cable TV, and I know a lot of people don't have that anymore, but those of you who do, you get a small fee that's taken off of your cable bill each month that helps to fund Access Humboldt. So our agreement was to build a fiber network throughout the county, which we've done with lots of locations that we've put up. It was to bring public meetings, as I mentioned before, to the public, and to establish a community media center, which is a place where folks can come and create their own content and learn how to use equipment. So Access Humboldt has this community media center, which is currently located on the campus of College of the Redwoods. It used to be at Eureka High School for years. But we moved in 2022 to CR, which has been a great experience, and we really love being on campus at College of the Redwoods. We have a fully stocked television studio. So one of the things we do is we have a studio certification class in which we teach people how to run our television studio so they can mount their own productions. So we use a device called a TriCaster, which is sort of a band-in-a-box sort of television switcher. We have a nicely lit room. And really, in a very short period of time, you can learn how to use the equipment that we have and start making your own show, right? The other thing that we do is we have a field production class in which we teach people how to use video cameras, how to use audio recorders, and members of Access Humboldt can rent gear from us. So we have various types of gear. We have prosumer camcorders. We have little flip cams. We have GoPros. And then just a selection of all the accoutrement that goes with it: tripods, mics, boom poles, microphones, cables, whatever else that you need to make your production a success. We also have editing facilities. We have editing facilities that have DaVinci and Final Cut Pro, Audacity for audio, and we're just standing up a new computer lab. It's going to have, I think, 6 or 8 stations, in which we're going to be using to train people how to use simple editing tools. People that maybe have never edited before, don't know what video editing is, and bring them in and get them walking before they, or crawling before they walk, and walking before they run, and all that sort of thing. So part of our mission at Access Humboldt is to educate people and to be an electronic soapbox, essentially. Any Humboldt County resident can submit material to Access Humboldt, to our television channels. We have 2 channels that are dedicated solely to material that's provided by citizens of Access Humboldt. We don't pre-screen that material. Anyone could submit anything that they want, as long as it's not slanderous or libelous, as long as it's not obscene, as long as it's not, and by obscene, I mean, that's the whole community standards thing. If it's on the spectrum, say, of what somebody might consider obscene, it might go on later at night. So if it has expletives, or it might be nudity or what have you, those things would happen in what they call safe harbor, which is from 11 to 5 a.m. in the morning. But we don't pre-screen them, so we don't exercise editorial control over whatever you submit to the channel. But we do ask that you take responsibility, which seems only fair, for whatever you put on the channel. So we ask that you'll sign a form saying that this is my content. It's not obscene. It's not using copyrighted material. It's not libel or slandering anybody. And if anything goes wrong, and it turns out that those things are true, then it's on you and not on us. It's called prior restraint. And it's the only way that we could operate our channels. But the process for submitting material is very simple. We have an online form that you can find at our website at access.net. It's a content submission form. It talks about the submission process, and it'll ask you a series of questions about your content, like when you might want to see it on the air, and exactly what it is, and something that you want to tell people about, so they might want to watch it. So and then just, you can give us a location. You can either Dropbox it to us. You can Gmail drive it to us. We'll also take things from YouTube if it's already up on YouTube. We can rip it from YouTube and put it on our channels. So those are the services that we offer. And I think probably more than anything, in a world, I mean, when Access Humboldt first started out, not everybody had a smartphone. They didn't have a production studio in their pockets, right? So they relied on us to get for the tools to produce things and capture and produce things. Nowadays you likely have a smartphone that can shoot good-looking video and fair audio and all that sort of thing. But one of the things that we offer is our expertise. We've got people, that, including myself, that have been involved in producing video content for a very long time, and audio content. And so a lot of people don't know where to start. They don't know, how to get rolling. And so we offer our expertise. If they run into problems while they're in the middle of putting together their content, we're there to answer questions and hopefully give them the resources, because we want them to be a success. We want them to realize whatever it is they're trying to realize in creating the content in the first place. Now, we do this not just for altruistic reasons. There is some altruism in there, but we also want your content for our television channels. And for the archive lesser, but mostly for the television channels. So when you produce something for Access Humboldt, we expect it to be non-commercial. That's that fourth thing that I was talking about before. We don't do commercial speech, so you can't do a car commercial for your brother-in-law, right? But you could say, for example, you could say, here's my brother. He's been in business for a long time, and he sells cars, and look at the cars on his lot,
Is it similar to the restrictions on CAMA?
Yes. Yeah. But what we don't want is you selling things and doing calls to action, right? You also can't fundraise on our channel, so you can't do a direct fundraiser. You could say, here's our organization. This is what we do. If you want to find out more, go to this website or call us at this phone number or stop by our offices at this address. But you can't say, send us money now.
What about advance notice about a protest coming up?
If that's something that you want to put out to the public,
I mean, it's a call to action. That's why.
saying
You're not selling anything.
You're not saying come to the protest.
Yeah, you would be saying there's going to be a protest. It's going to be on Thursday at 8 p.m.
Okay, so you're like
you
a
know.
calendar announcement.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's one of the things, another thing that we do. I produce a community calendar that goes on the radio station. Any nonprofit organization can submit, or personage can submit information to that calendar. Gets recorded on Wednesday, or it gets put together on Wednesday, compiled, and then published on Friday. So then that plays out during the week. So if you've got an event like a protest or some sort of nonprofit event, you can advertise it that way. We also have a community bulletin board that runs in between shows on the 4 channels. So that's like a graphic thing that happens. So if you wanted to put that information in there, that would be another place that you could use to get it out. So, and finally, I mean, our job and our mission is to support the nonprofit community and help them realize their content creation needs. Access Humboldt works as a production company, so we have a team that will go out and capture. For example, 2 weeks ago we did the Eel River Expo, down in Fortuna. Tomorrow we're doing Kim Burgell's mental health forum that she's doing at the Warfinger building. So we try and make an affordable way for nonprofits to create the content that they want to use to get their message out, tell people about their mission, ask people to get involved and volunteer. So that's one of the things that we've long done. So things like PSAs for the radio station, for the TV station, those are things that we accept for free. We don't charge people for that sort of thing. So they can, they can use our outlets to get their voice heard.
You have a question?
Yeah. Do you charge for your production?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a professional rate. There's a rate card you can find at Access Humboldt. We do try and make it affordable. So, we try and work within people's budgets. We look for other funding that can help support the production. Maybe they don't have the exact amount that we would ordinarily charge, but then we either work to give them in kind to try and bring it down, or we look for other sources of funding that can help support the production that they're trying to do.
And so do you have to distinguish between a for-profit production and a non-profit production?
Well, that is the distinction, is in that we do not do for-profit productions. So we are ever.
Oh, okay. Because I was
That's
okay.
the call to action.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I was wondering about, like a business. Because in my mind, you're saying our production team is for hire to anyone and everyone, but only
to the
for
nonprofit
only
sector.
for nonprofits.
Yeah.
I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Got it.
I've got a couple questions.
Sure.
How can Southern Humboldt residents view Access Humboldt programming?
Well, there is, and I said there were 4 channels that we operate, but we actually operate a 5th channel here on the Wave network on the Southern Humboldt cable system. So if they have cable, then they can, and I know that's not necessarily a thing that it's probably even harder to have down here than it is up there, but they can watch a kind of an amalgam of all of our channels on the Wave network here in Southern Humboldt. Then the other thing is that we one of the other jobs that I didn't really mention is that we archive our content. So we work with archive.org, a great organization that actually anyone can afford themselves if they can go and have their own membership there. It's free. They can upload as much content as they want. But we have our own community archive collection for both video and for audio. So you could go and just go on our website. You could look for the latest content. You could go and search on our archives. So if it's something that happened 10 years ago or 15 years ago and we have it, you could go and find that. And then those things are open to anyone to use. So the archive.org allows you to download video and audio. So you could go download something, cut it up, use it for your own purposes. Say you're making a documentary and you wanted some footage of a meeting or a happening or an event or something like that. You could go and freely use any of the video that we have. And then for people who in Southern Humboldt, they are Humboldt County residents and they are free to submit content to our channels, to our archive. And it's a very easy thing to do. Just go to accesshumboldt.net, look for our content submission page. You fill out a form. We find a way to get the content to us. Now it's usually done electronically, but I mean, people do bring things in. But and then you could share your content with the viewing public that that are on cable or that use our archive.
So if you have wave cable,
yes,
but not if you just have the wave broadband. I have wave broadband, right, but I don't have wave cable.
Yeah, you do need the cable channel, yeah.
Okay, otherwise you can basically get it from the internet.
That's right.
And right now that would be internet archive.org.
That's right, archive.org.
Is it also up at YouTube?
It is. So one of the things that we ask people to submit material to Access Humboldt is, do you want your program archived, right? Some people might say no. They might just want it on the TV channels and they don't want it out in the world, right? So you're given the choice. It's not mandatory to archive it. Do you want the material on archive.org? Do you want the material on YouTube? And then we also ask about Creative Commons license, and that's a way for creators to offer their material and still retain control over it. And there's different kinds of Creative Commons licenses that some are more restrictive than others. But we also ask you which one you would prefer us to use to protect your material. So just giving it to us for the TV channels or the archive doesn't mean that you give up rights to the material. You still own that material. You're still able to do whatever you want to with it. It just means that we're able to share it with the public.
Can you see any of the live streams at your website, at the Access Humboldt website?
Well, yes. We have both a streaming channel at our website, and we also stream to YouTube Live.
So you could become a regular viewer of Access Humboldt programming down here, even if you don't have a cable broadcast, yes.
Absolutely.
So you can still become a fan of certain shows.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also, do the shows that you produce go into rotations, or are they only aired once?
No, we have 24/7, 365 days a year, 4 channels to fill, right? So if we get a hold of your content, we're going to play it and play it and play it. So it will be seen over and over again by viewers, right? So we definitely want your show. Now, you could say, for example, one of the things that some people have are a series, right? So they have a weekly show or a monthly show, right? And then they would want the prior show taken down or not shown on the channels anymore, right? They want people to watch the new show. So you could arrange it so that one comes off the channel. You have what called the kill date when you want the show taken down, right? Or it could just, if it's evergreen and the information is good, it could be on the channels forever. There are certain videos that have been on the channels, since our inception, and we still play. For example, there's a series of history videos that was done by the Humboldt Historical Society, and all that information is still good information, right? So even though it's 20 years old, it's still, the information is still good. So that's evergreen material. We'll keep that and play it over and over again. So you could be immortalized forever, on Access Humboldt if it's something that you feel is evergreen and that you want people to continue to watch and enjoy for years and years.
Right. And so like Earth Day comes along, you can always pull out some archival environmental programming.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, we have a wealth of archive material. And we were talking about before we came on today, that we are in the process of digitizing and putting into the archive. So things from Redwood Summer, the Timber Wars, just more prosaic things that people have recorded, lectures and what have you, that were on VHS tape, if anybody remembers what those were. So we're in the process of going through our archive, picking out the most important things that, as far as we're concerned, and putting them into the archive where anybody can access them and use them just to watch, or maybe they're doing their own video on this topic and they need historical information and they want historical footage. They can go and get that footage. So that's one of the other things.
Do you have the ability at Access Humboldt to resurrect 8mm and high 8?
If you mean digitizing film, not really. No, I mean we had the capacity at one time when we had a couple of.
Digitizing like digital, 8mm, not film, but the first few cameras like Canon, maybe your early Canon.
Oh, SVHS and high 8.
Oh, okay. Yeah, high 8.
At the moment, we are just doing VHS.
Okay.
I think we have a beta machine too that's kind of ailing because it is extremely old. But it's possible that you might also, if you have a beta, which is a professional format, beta tapes, that we also might be able to digitize those. But mostly it's VHS.
Okay.
No, beta, the original big, professional video format that we all used to use for offline video.
Oh, you aren't talking about the home beta?
No, I'm talking about the big videotapes that I learned on in the beginning of time back in the Jurassic period. We used to, you would take a tape out and then put another one in and put a little on, then put another one in. That was what we called editing back then, instead of in the online editing that we have now, the non-destructive online editing that all of us do. So. I guess I'm dating myself by talking about that, but that's what I learned on when I went to college.
It's not quite cutting film up like
not film. Quite, but almost. Yeah.
The next generation.
No, I just want to say also, I went to an open house that you had a couple years back, and we got to watch a couple of short films that were quite high quality. Of course, with the backdrop of the redwoods and all the geology around here, everything's just so majestic and beautiful. Mm-hmm. But some of the people that had went through your program and also used the equipment that were there and everything, that used what they had learned and made some nice short films.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we have done local filmmakers night with Humboldt Delaware Film Commission. That kind of went by the wayside when COVID came along, but we have sort of gotten back to doing local filmmakers nights. So that's a chance for people who have made films to come in and showcase them and have in front of a live audience and get that audience reaction. So, I mean, that's one of the things that we...
What are you calling that again?
Local filmmakers night. Yeah.
So let's say we want to do a high school program. Local filmmakers high school program. Yeah. How would that work? Give them access, opportunity, and then allow them to screen?
Well, we currently work with Academy of the Redwoods, which is located on CR campus, which is a high school to college program. They use our cameras. They use our editing facilities to create their content. So, I mean, we're already kind of working with them. We have student memberships, so any student can become a member of Access Humboldt. When our long history at Eureka High School, we essentially supplied their media production program with cameras. They didn't have any cameras because, well, they had a media production program, but they didn't bother to buy any cameras for anybody. So would they use our cameras, our studio, our equipment to achieve that? So. We're definitely supportive of youth in video. I'm a big supporter of youth in radio. I platform the AR school. We also work with Six Rivers Charter up in Arcata. They do a monthly podcast for us. I'm always interested in trying to get youth interested in doing video and audio production. So,
well, I was just kind of thinking, in terms of Southern Humboldt, giving kids access to stuff because there's just a limited amount of access to, and I could see the opportunity for a high school student to, should they start using the Academy of the Redwoods campus, but should they, for some reason be restricted to, this location and specifically Southern Humboldt, just kind of thinking through, what that would be like.
I mean, they're only restricted in that they have to get to our location in order to get our gear. And they need to be a member, of course, but we don't currently have any sort of equipment located in Southern Humboldt. So they would need to be able to get to CR in order to avail themselves of our services at the moment, anyway.
Do people have to rent the equipment?
Generally, yes, although we've kind of worked around our membership to where a lot of this is included in the membership. So a lot of it depends on who the member is, what they're doing.
Just to be clear, how does the renting of the equipment work? Just in case his question didn't come in.
So if you're a member of Access Humboldt and you have been certified in the use of the equipment, so that means you've taken the field certification class or the podcasting class. So we also have we didn't mention this, but we also have a podcasting studio. So members can come in and do their own podcast. They can just sit down, turn on, start recording, and create a podcast. But if you need to be a member, you need to be certified in the use of the equipment, and then you can come in and rent it. Nominally, our rental fees are $5 a day, $10 for 3 days, $20 a month, or $20 a week.
That's for camera and tripod?
Camera and everything that you need to go along with it. So you get a camera, tripod, microphone, whatever else kind of gear, connections, or whatever else that you might need to go along to make your production a success.
How much was that again? $5?
$5 a day, $10 for 3 days, $20 for a week. Generally, we rent things out a week at a time with a 2-week limit. We only really ask that after 2 weeks that you bring back the equipment just so you can prove that it still exists, and then you could immediately check it out again if it isn't already spoken for. So, but we do, depending on the project and, and especially like student projects you mentioned, is we want to support them. We want to make it affordable, and we'll generally scholarship things like rental fees. And, so they're not having to come out of pocket to do this stuff. For people who have means, and, we're definitely going to want to get our rental fees for that. But for people that don't have means, we would rather have your content than your money, right? We would rather have you create something, share it with the public than us getting, digging you for rental fees, So that's how that works.
Do you have to pay a deposit?
No, there's no deposit.
Talk more about the scholarships, and also, do you help people get video production grants?
We don't help people get grants. We're trying to get our own grants at the moment. So, we don't have the capacity or staff to get people grants. Now, we can point people in the right direction. We can make them alive to the fact that there is a grant for certain things. But you're kind of on your own in that respect. We're already giving you the production facilities. We're already giving you the production gear. We kind of want you to develop some sweat equity in your own project, so if you have to.
Do you publish the grant ability thing at all?
We don't. Again, that circles back to around the fact that we have a fairly small staff. Right. We have an extremely busy staff. We are an extremely busy organization. And, so we kind of have to, keep our nose to the grindstone and focus on our own mission. That doesn't mean that we won't help. And if we know about things that we won't tell you about it or try and make you alive to the fact that these things are available. But we just don't have the capacity to find and write grants for people. So.
And what about these scholarships you mentioned?
Yeah, I mean, when I use the word scholarship, it just essentially means free for people who
Just waive the fee.
we just waive the fee for people who don't have the means, or students that that we don't want to make them come out of pocket for something that we're trying to encourage people to create and not discourage them from creating. So if money is an impediment, we definitely, like I said before, we'd rather have your content than your money. We'd rather have your creative juices and what you're going to bring and give to the public, than have your money. I think is probably where we're at with that.
I got a couple more questions though.
Yeah.
All right.
You mentioned anybody who lives here can submit programming.
Yes.
Does that mean that the content has to be local? Or if
No.
they did like a trip to Europe and interviewed some people there at an art museum, they could...
We had a series just like that. They haven't been producing it lately, but we had a series of a travel series, and it was all about Europe and South America and things like that. And in fact, if you see a program that is available that for use for anyone to use, but it's from out of the area, you can ask us to import that program. We won't take, if that producer is from Michigan, say, we won't take it directly from him. But if somebody in Humboldt County, a Humboldt County citizen, wanted to ask us to import that program, we will. There's a space on our submission form for that.
What does that mean? I'm not clear on the difference.
Well, the difference is that it's produced somewhere else by someone who doesn't live in Humboldt County. It might be about things that are not.
No, I mean the difference between you seeking it and you importing it. You wouldn't try to get it directly from the content producer, but you would import it?
We wouldn't do that. So we allow people to do that. We allow, citizens of Humboldt County, for example, we have like religious programming, that's not produced here in Humboldt County. But there's somebody in Humboldt County that wants to see us on our channels, right? So they, and with the permission of the creator of the program, they fill out our form, they give us the location, and that's called an import, right? As opposed to
the
something that's
local
homegrown.
producer would basically have the responsibility of getting the material to Access Humboldt and getting the permissions and all of that.
Opening the door.
Yeah, at least filling out the form, telling us how to acquire the thing, and then taking personal responsibility for the content itself.
What about networking with other cable access stations? Like Mendocino, do you have anything from Mendocino County that is aired?
We
Do you take any
don't.
of our programming and get it out to other stations?
We don't currently do that, no. I mean, we do share our programming on the radio side. So, I mean, I have programs that first aired on KMUD. I have programs that air up on KFUG up in Del Norte County that they share, that they're sharing, their producers are sharing with us, right? We do the Klamath Tribes podcast, so we have that material on the radio. So, but that's something that it's a little different on my side as the station manager of KZZH, in that I am curating what goes on the radio station, whereas the TV channels are non-curated. They're whoever wants to pony up their program and put it on the channel, it goes on, right? Whereas for me, I look at, does it have, community value? Is it information that the community can use that's relevant and that sort of thing? And that's a decision I make as a station manager of the radio station.
So, for example, if I were to make a program about the history of forestry on the North Coast and think it would be of value to people in Mendocino and Sonoma and Marin County and Del Norte, it would be on me to contact those stations to get the programming. And there would be no restriction because it's Access Humboldt.
It's your program, right? So you can do it, you can put it wherever you want. And, as I tell the classes that I teach, and I can hear their eyes rolling in their head because I say this every time, but I say, if you make the best pancakes in the world, but you make them at the bottom of the ocean, who's going to know about it, right? So you want to put your program in as many different places as you can, on archive.org, on YouTube, on various other, community media channels throughout the state, throughout the counties, you want to disseminate it as far as wide, because each of those audiences are going to be different, right? There might be somebody who might not naturally seek out that content, but they're watching it now, and they're getting the benefit of that content, but maybe they wouldn't have seeked it out in the first place, right? So yeah, my mantra is, just disseminate it and get it out there as far and wide as you can.
How does somebody go about getting a regular program?
They just have to ask for it. So we have series. What it takes to have a series is that you need to have 3 shows in the can, as they say, 3 completed shows, right? And then you can ask for a time slot. So if you want your show to air at Thursday night at 8 p.m., you can request that on the content submission form. If it's not already occupied by somebody else's show, you're going to get it, right? So you can, gather your friends and neighbors around the television and watch your show come on at 8 p.m. on Thursday. So, but yeah, you can ask for a series, and we would love that. We love series, right? So,
do you have any sense of how many series you actually broadcast now?
I don't. It used to be a lot more. A lot of things changed during COVID, including the rate of submission from people and people that are creating just individual shows and series. So we experienced a steep drop off during COVID for that. It's only now starting to return. We're only now starting to see people come back to use the facilities, to start submitting material again, because a lot of the material was community-based material where you're in an event, where you're out there with a lot of people, and then people just stopped doing that, right? Mm-hmm. They just stopped going into crowds with their cameras, right? And now that, that's all sort of calmed down, people are starting to come back. They're starting to do those kinds of things again. So I don't know the number of series that are on there. So I can't say for sure.
Okay, my last question is about, could you talk a little bit more about membership, and are there fees for the classes, and are they regularly scheduled, or do you make an appointment to have someone tutor you the material?
Right. Well, for membership, you can go to our website, accessible.net. There's a membership portal there. There are different levels of membership, but the basic membership, I believe now, is $50. It had been $25 for 14 or 15
per year.
Per year, yeah. Included in that membership are what we call instant certifications. Prior to COVID, we used to have Saturday classes, and we used to have field certification 1 month, studio certification the next month, and that just went back and forth all year, including our orientation. And then we would have quarterly podcasting classes and stuff like that. So people stopped showing up to be in rooms with folks, and so we not that we won't be going back to it, but we have sort of stopped doing those regular monthly group sort of classes. And in their place, we do what we call instant certifications, right? So you can become a member of Access Humboldt, come down, get trained on equipment, and walk out with the equipment the very same day. And so we're talking about a certification that might take 15 or 20 minutes. We run you through the camera. We show you its features. We show the accessories, proper care and handling of video gear. Don't drop it. Don't use it in a rainstorm. And then you can walk out the door with that, and that would be for the $50 fee. So that's included in your membership. We may go back to doing classes. In fact, we have classes planned. We just have not had a chance to implement yet. That'll be those group classes again. I mean, we've done pre-production classes where we talk about what you do leading up to starting to film. I did a class about the meaning of shots. What does it mean? What kind of shots have sort of emotional weights, and what are you trying to say with your camera angle, and that sort of thing. We did a PSAs for nonprofits class where we taught nonprofits how to create their own PSAs. We did a class on messaging, so talking to organizations about how to create effective messaging. So those things will eventually come back around. We've done youth workshops. So For years, we did what we called an iOS workshop where we used Mac devices and we went out to schools, we went out to community groups and taught kids how to create their own content. So we are working on trying to get back to that. And a lot of the impetus for this is coming from our new executive director. She's come in, she's got a lot of energy, she's really kind of supercharged us as an organization that kind of, I won't say languished, but really had some challenges during the COVID years. And she's come in and really sort of brought us back to our main mission and sort of brought our focus back to, doing these community events and really back to interacting with the community,
So are the classes just one session? You go on one Saturday, or is it a couple of weeks?
Well, the certification classes that we used to do were just one Saturday. They were one Saturday 4-hour class. They usually were coupled with orientation, where a lot like this, we would talk about what is Access Humboldt, what's our mission, all that sort of stuff, and then you would lead into a class that would either teach you how to use the studio or teach you how to use our field gear. Right now, we're kind of leaning into this instant certification class where you can come down at a time that's convenient for you and us, just by yourself, or you could bring somebody with you, or and we will teach you the gear right on the spot, right?
So you could basically make an appointment to have a tutorial.
Yes, you can.
There we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
that's great.
So a membership, couldn't it be a group? It's always individual?
We have had organizational memberships in the past. We're kind of re-looking at that.
Okay.
So we do have organizational members, though. But a lot of what's gone on in Access Humboldt is sort of a revisioning on how we handle membership, how we handle, renting gear, how we handle teaching people. And so we're kind of like at a spot where we're trying to figure out what's the most effective way to offer memberships of Access Humboldt.
Yeah. I'm also wondering if we could help to, I guess, the word that comes to mind is distribute your curriculum, but also, essentially, train folks, whether it's youth or whether it's young adult or folks like us, train them on the curriculum that you have.
I mean, I'm sure there's a way. I'm happy to share my curriculum with you. I'm happy to share my class materials with you, and you're welcome to use them any way you want. We
wouldn't be able to certify folks, though.
Right. That wouldn't have to involve a staff member of Access Humboldt. And there, like I said, we've done these outside trainings, like especially for youth and that sort of thing, and for other types of groups. So it's entirely possible if we got enough people together that were interested in getting certified, we could come down to Southern Humboldt and offer that certification in a place like this.
But that would only be for like the field certification, right?
It would only be for field certification, yeah.
So we would need to just kind of, organize and look at what skills we want, sort of, first, second, third, and whatnot, right?
Well, we could do something like that down here.
But then we could probably get a carload of people who would go up to do a studio training.
Yeah.
Right? Make an appointment with you guys to do that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is, and we weren't going to talk about content creation, but I mean, my first question when I talk to people about content creation is, what is your goal? Right? You need to have a goal, and it needs to be a clear one. And then the second thing is, how are you going to accomplish that? How are you going to accomplish that goal? And the third thing is always, making it interesting and making it engaging and making it something that people want to watch and engage with. So, but, knowing what it is that your group is trying to accomplish is a way that we can tailor a training to your group and give you the tools that you need to accomplish your goal.
Now, what about, you mentioned something about bringing teams to cover something, like that debate I was in 2014 or 2012. You guys covered. What if we had a play at the Redwood Playhouse? Can we hire a team to come down and do a multi-camera shoot and broadcast it live?
Well, I mean, you could. I mean, as I mentioned, we're a production company. Would it be cost effective for the Redwood Playhouse to hire us? It may not be, right? There, in the past, we maintained a list of active producers that we could call upon, and we would put out like the word to them and say, hey, there's going to be a play at the Redwood Playhouse. Does anybody want to come and cover it, right? And then people could cover it for free or make their own arrangements with the group, maybe
like a clearinghouse.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is, as we've sort of lost a lot of our active producers during the COVID period, we've kind of let that particular thing go. But that's not to say that we don't know videographers, that we don't know people that could do these sorts of things, that we could put you in contact with, and you could work out a deal with them. I mean, we always come from this DIY sort of aesthetic. We want, first and foremost, before we want to charge you for a production, we want you to learn how to make your own production, give you the tools to make your own production, so you can do it at a very low or no cost, right? So that's always our first instinct, is like, we'll teach you how to do it, we'll give you the tools how to do it, right? And then you go off and do it, and we'll give you the help, we'll give you the expertise, we'll give you advice and help you make it happen. That's always our first instinct.
So if we had the videographers,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe then what we would be doing is renting the equipment, and then what would be needed to make that live shoot become a live stream? And is there like a production cost for that?
We do not charge anything for streaming. So if you have something that you want to stream live on Access Humble, on either on YouTube or on our streaming channel, you just need to make arrangements with our digital content manager, and she'll be happy to put it on, right? So we don't charge for that. That's not something that we charge for.
How do you do the live stream?
Depends. When we're live streaming, if it's a production that we do, we have the gear and equipment to do that live stream. How someone else would do it, I mean, you could do it with a laptop. You could do it.
Well, I'm wondering, like, what is the mode that you use for getting the signal from here to you guys?
The internet.
So do you have a special application that you use, or do you do it through like people doing a live stream through their YouTube channel or through a Facebook channel?
It could be Facebook Live. It could be YouTube Live. Our streaming channel is a little harder to access, so we don't, unless we had a fiber connection to wherever it was coming from, we would not have a way to inject that into our live stream, but we can take the YouTube stream, put it on our streaming channel. We do that often. We were talking earlier about, we cover Humboldt Roller Derby, right? So we do a live switch production, multi-camera production of Humboldt Roller Derby that appears on YouTube Live, that appears on our streaming channel, also appears on the radio. So we do pictures and descriptions of the show, of the roller derby on the radio as well. So, and that goes out live. So, those are the kind of things we do. But generally, YouTube Live is going to be the delivery system, I would say.
So we would have to do the camera switching live here at the Playhouse.
Yeah.
So you don't have any way of like producing that aspect of it?
No.
Okay.
Cool. Sounds great.
Yeah, I mean, totally for this space. So like just this last week, I started on my YouTube channel live streaming classes from here. So if I wanted to then have them broadcasted through Access Humboldt, then who would I contact?
You're going to want to check
digital content manager.
Yeah, Jerusha.
Okay.
How do you spell that?
JERUSHA, Jerusha at Access Humboldt, all one word, lowercase, .net. And she'd be happy to hear from you. She's always looking for content. She would love to have that content on the channel.
So JRUSAU JRUSHAUSHA.
Yep, USHA
USHA.
at accesshumboldt.net.
Wow, that's amazing. Cool. All right, that's great.
Yeah.
That's
So,
exciting.
and if you have questions about programming or things that you want to know if it's appropriate or if you can get a certain time or if you have just questions about the process, she's the person to contact about that. She's, she's amazing and she's always happy to help, always happy to answer questions. And
So that's both live stream and other.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
And so it's possible that, I mean, maybe there's a slot open, but likely not, that the live stream could be directly live. So if the slot, the timing, right? But if the slot isn't open, then it would just kind of be in some sort of queue or something, and then would eventually.
Good question. I'm not sure I have a complete answer to that.
She'd probably be able
She
to
can answer that question, but I think we can do multiple, live streams at once. I don't, but don't quote me on that.
Cool.
But I would ask her. And generally, you've not going to have a crowded field, right? There are things that are regular and that happen, but it's not like 24/7 all of the time is accounted for, right? So,
well, another question. So, like, KMUD will do like a live broadcast.
Yes.
It could be like a public meeting, or like any public meetings could be for hours or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm. So,
I'm just thinking we're sort of curating some events coming into the summer. Let's see. We did a wellness speaker series.
Mm-hmm.
Went for like 4 hours.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of music in between, and then we did a concert at the end of the night.
Mm-hmm.
I'd want to have like, the speaker series live stream, and then go into like some musical interludes as well, and then a concert at the end.
Well, for example, we have long partnered with KMUD on election night. So we take KMUD's election night stream, the commentary, and all that stuff, and we just devote an entire night to KMUD's election coverage because it's so good. We at one time tried to mount our own. In fact, we did mount our own election coverage, but we were duplicating efforts because KMUD is just so awesome. So we just said, okay, we're just going to take KMUD's, and so that goes on the television channels, that goes on the live stream. So yeah, we love it. We love that kind of stuff.
And I guess along those lines, is there anyone that's live streaming? There's all sorts of live music events that are happening. Is there anyone that's live? I guess you have to go to them to do it.
I'm sure there is. Often these things are commercial productions.
Okay.
We're not doing them at the moment, although, not to say that we couldn't do it.
That would be okay content though, right? Or
it would be. There is kind of a gray area about copyrighted material. So if you were, covering Beyonce, it might not work out too well.
So would you need like a video release, man? Maybe from like the band or something, or maybe the producer?
Like, especially if it's original material, we would take that stuff all day long.
Doesn't it get tricky though in terms of the song ownership? May not be the performers.
Yeah. Like if somebody does a cover, if they do a cover or something.
Where it gets tricky, I think we obviously want to discourage the use of copywritten material on our channels, but where it gets tricky is when you start putting it on the internet. So if you start archiving copywritten material, that's where you're going to get copyright strikes. And so, for example, in these live events that you're talking about, if there was even incidental copywritten material happening in the background, that would get us taken down. So we would definitely frown on anything like that. YouTube will come down on us like a load of bricks, and they will either get warnings and they might take our content down, they might suspend our channel. So we're very Catholic about not allowing copywritten material, especially like pre-recorded music, that it's even incidental. You might just be passing by a doorway, with Springsteen coming out of it. We definitely would frown upon that, and that would be something that we would definitely want to avoid.
Is there some kind of like a 10-second option to have something copyrighted, or just a little shot?
There isn't a formal way, but you'll find that that YouTube will generally allow 8 to 10 seconds of something before they start giving you a copyright strike.
Yeah.
So they don't publish that anywhere because they're not trying to encourage it. But you see it all over YouTube where somebody will reference, something. There's the whole concept of fair use, but fair use often is in the eye of the beholder. It's in the eye of whoever's pushing the content out. They don't want to get sued, right? They don't want BMG to come in or Sony to come in and give them a cease and desist. So they're very strict about copywritten material, just to protect themselves. If for no reason.
I think some of that's gotten easier at YouTube, because I was just watching a program yesterday where there's this guy, there's these the first time ever a person listens to a song, like LA Woman by The Doors, and they will play the whole song, and it won't be an ambient recording. They'll feed it in, and they will talk over it, and they will pause it now and then, but they will play the whole song. They did a whole Frank Zappa side of a record for one of these things.
Well, what happens in those cases often is they'll demonetize your channel. So if you are, we're not monetized. Yeah,
right. So that would kind of work for you.
Except for the fact that they'll take us down if they hear copyrighted material. For example, the roller derby, they have a DJ, and we have to have our setup in such a way that all the background noise is eliminated. It's a gray area. It's just something that we don't, because we use our channels for public meetings, and that's our main mission. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize our channels. We don't want to do anything to jeopardize our relationship with YouTube or get taken down or what have you. So we're very strict about that, and they're strict with us too. So these things that you're talking about, they do make exceptions for those things. And I'm not an expert on YouTube, so I can't tell you exactly how it works, but they do make some sort of change to your channel to allow that to happen. What it is, I can't really say. That would be a question for YouTube. And YouTube is sort of they operate in mysterious ways. Even longtime creators for YouTube are not sure exactly what the safe ground is, right? And they might discover the hard way what it's not, right? So
how do you eliminate the sound in the road there in the background?
There's an app that's part of our setup that we use for capturing the roller derby that takes out all the background noise. Zoom has it on there. That you can use Zoom. They have different gradients of how aggressive it is, but yeah, we have an app in our switching software that takes out all the background noise. In some ways, it's kind of disconcerting because you have the roller derby is such an exciting event, and there's so much going on, and people are clapping and yelling and screaming for the hometown and doing all that kind of stuff. But you don't hear anything of that in our broadcast because they're mixed in with that. It's going to be a DJ playing, Beyonce or somebody else that'll get us in trouble, right?
So there's no audio?
There's audio. There's just the commentary.
So you use like a vocal enhancement function that pulls the voice.
Yeah, it takes the background and it just takes the background out, allows whoever's speaking directly into the mic, allows that to pass through.
Well, what I found with the Playhouse videos, each of these plays has lead-in music.
Mm-hmm.
And usually I get a little warning for about half of the plays because of that lead-in music, but
Mm-hmm.
it'll just say, but you can use it, except it can't be seen in Russia. Russia is the one place.
Yeah.
I really want to respect your time. I know you got a show to do at Kmart, so I kind of want to wrap this up. I have one final question.
Yeah.
And it's cable. Should we want to support Access Humble, advocate for Access Humble? Would we encourage folks down here to get wave cable to or view Access Humboldt on YouTube? What do you think?
Well, I mean, everyone who subscribes to cable definitely supports Access Humboldt, right? Would I encourage people to get cable if they don't have it already? I think that boat has sort of left the dock, right? I think
My concern.
What's happened, and I'll just say plainly, what's happened to our revenue is that cord cutting has cut into our support system. Every year, people get rid of cable. A lot of people keep it for things like sports because there's really great sports on cable that isn't available elsewhere. But for the most part, people are getting rid of cable. Older folks seem to like to hold on to it, but then they up and die, and then so there's not that subscriber base anymore. So, if they want to get cable, that's great. It would help support us. I mean, we have had to look for other funding streams, other ways of supporting Access Humboldt, either through grants or, through other ways that we, production services and membership fees have never been a huge supporter of Access Humboldt, although it does help. So becoming a member of Access Humboldt will help Access Humboldt continue to do our mission, right?
More so than being a wave cable subscriber.
Probably, yeah. I think they take like $1 a month off of your cable bill to support the community media center. $50 a year. So you're already money ahead by becoming a member of Access Humboldt.
So similar to KMUD, it's like the minimal, sort of way for a listener to interact with KMUD is to connect them with a cheap, radio. That's one of the things. And I can't remember the name of the radio that someone had, like a large collection of small radios that they would just give away.
Right.
So I'm trying to think what would be an equivalent in this case to an Access Humboldt, stream. And would it just be an internet connection and, YouTube?
I think so. I mean, all you really need is an internet connection to get involved and watch our programming.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's the minimum bar right there.
Okay.
Right. And,
okay.
Do you have fund drives and stuff like Pacifica?
We don't. Although, we're working into that. And, I mean, a lot of the fund drives, and we've got one coming up. We're doing the Bold Day of TV where we're supporting 20 nonprofit organizations who are going to come in and talk about their operations and their missions. And then we have a Bold Day of Giving that happens a week later, a 24-hour period where we're going to raise funds for nonprofits. So, the kind of what our new director has been is like co-fundraising opportunities, ways of supporting the nonprofit community, having them support us, and kind of like both, using these opportunities to keep all of our missions going and keeping the nonprofit environment vital. So we don't do direct fundraising. I mean, you'll find us asking, if you'd like to be an underwriter. So I'm always looking for underwriters for the radio station, for the roller derby broadcast. If you want to underwrite our television channels, you can contact Gordon at accesshumboldt.net. He's our underwriting coordinator, and he'll sign you up and get you going. And
do you know the fees? Do you know the fees?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know. It's all going to be what it is, where it is, how many times. But I don't. It's not my. I guess I'd say not my monkey's not my circus. So I don't really know that. I'm terrible at asking people for money, so I leave that to the professionals.
Well, I really appreciate you coming down and
thanks for having me.
And also you guys, just kind of coming together and exploring these ideas. And I'm really excited to see, what we create and what the community ends up creating. Hopefully we can get together like this and just kind of maybe bi-monthly or something, continue to brainstorm and collaborate and work together and see what what's working, what's not working.
Yeah.
Anything in closing?
I think a priority we can look at here in Sohum is identifying who has the skills that and what they're doing, as well as who has the need and what they need. What do you need? How can we help you?
And a lot of it's motivation. It's funny. I don't want to take us off your clothes, but people watch television and they think that it magically happens, right? And it doesn't magically happen. There is actual work involved, and it's hard work. And it's not digging ditches, but there's still work involved. It takes time. It takes patience. It takes imagination, right? It takes a village. It takes more than one person laboring in obscurity, to put things out. So you've got to want to do this, and you've got to want to spend the time and put in the sweat equity to make it happen. So
I appreciate that. Yeah, precision, planning, discipline, all those good character building,
absolutely,
sort of qualities, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks again, you guys. Yeah, go ahead.
One last bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems that one of the things that has a lot of potential is for us to cover a lot of live events down here.
Yes.
And it seems that the trickiest part is going to be doing the switching for multiple cameras.
OBS sort of.
So is that the way to do it? Is that we'd have our, let's say, 3 camera people, and somehow that would have to go into some app. Would OBS be able to take all 3 feeds?
Yeah. OBS is a free open source software that is essentially a video switcher.
Really?
So you have like a Bluetooth signal from each of the 3 cameras?
Probably might be Wi-Fi. You might have to use a Wi-Fi network.
It gets tricky though.
It does get tricky.
But if you can get used to doing that,
Yeah.
and then you've got your credits and your lower thirds and all that kind of stuff ready, and you can just use those each time, and you know how you want to do your closing credits in advance. You can prepare all that stuff and just
I think we should make it.
do it live. Yeah.
Absolutely. We do.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Hey, one last thing.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank you, Matt, for coming down here and making your time available. I really appreciate what you've done for Humboldt County and for the arts.
It's my pleasure.
Yeah.
Glad to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Learning us.
All right. Well, that's the first installment of what do we call it? Yeah, Sohum Smoke Signal. Maybe we'll see this on Access Humboldt. All I got to do
I
is
hope we do.
submit it.
Jerusha.
Jerusha.
Yeah.
All right, Jerusha, we'll see you soon. And everyone else out there, thank you so much for watching.
All right.
That was fun.
Cut.
and
And cut.
Yeah, I learned everything I wanted to learn.
That was really great, real informative. Super. So glad we did
I
that.
have to run.
Are you good on time, or you got to go? Yeah,
I got to move. Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Really
Thank
appreciate
you
it.
guys.
You guys got SVHS machines?
I don't think so.
That's the higher resolution.
Oh, right. I don't want to leave with that. We don't, as far as I know.